How do you know when to cut a deal? I mean, timing is everything. You find someone who's desperate. Now, this is something I will say is that your best marks are the desperate people, which is to be said for anything, any sort of business. But I will tell you now that when I go and I find if I'm going to a tournament and I'm trying to buy collections, buy binders at a good price, I find someone at the lower tables who's probably like maybe like 02, maybe even 03. I tell him I look at his binder. I ask him if if he wants to trade, and he'll hand me his binder. I won't give him my binder necessarily just yet. I'll flip through it, and I mean I know my prices and I know what I'm willing to pay. And if I can find someone like that who's probably down on their luck, 03, not doing so hot, I will just I will just throw him a number on his binder. And maybe let's say the binder is worth $200. Maybe I offer him 80. I have done this before. Or maybe I offer him 120. And I just take the money out of my wallet. I just throw it at him. I guarantee you they'll take I guarantee you this person who's probably working a minimum wage job or like a very basic pay job and is not now it can't come to your tournament and they're feeling like crap because they're kind of scrubbing out. And here I am throwing money in their face for almost no effort. I guarantee you they will not say no. Because who would? I mean, you were having a crap day, and now here's someone knows throwing money in your face, and you didn't have to lift a finger.
And it might seem horrible, but at the end of the day, this is like, would you take 60% less money than you could buy if you're going to get all of them sold guaranteed at once? Probably yes. Most of the time, most people would.
Yes, exactly.
Like
It's
you're
like, do you
getting,
want? You're
yeah,
paying
go
for
for it.
convenience.
Plus, you got fees if you're selling online or, things like that, and shipping. And yeah, I
It's
get
it's
it.
really just the effort. I mean, like even if I were to take that $200 binder and sell it individually, I could maybe make $180, maybe like $160, something like that. But like, how much effort did that take me? It's like your car. If when your car is about to die, you could probably scrap it for parts and sell the individual parts for way more than the car is worth. Or you could take it to a junkyard and just let them throw a couple Benjamins in your hand and call it a day. It really like you're what you are doing is you're providing a service. Well, by buying someone's binder at 50 some percent, 60% some percent, even as low as 30%, which has been done. Uh, you are offering a service. You are saying that, okay, I mean, in exchange for me giving you cash for all these cards, some of which maybe you couldn't even sell if you tried. Here's a pile of cash. Premium supply. And so, geez. Okay, premium supplies like what, like deck boxes and sleeves? Is that what you're talking about? Like, well, first off, sleeves are a very interesting market. Realistically, you're not going to get good sales rates on those because who the heck wants to buy sleeves from some random person? Cloth mats are also a very interesting debate. I mean, it depends on what the mat is. If it's like a regional winter mat, one of those like official Konami prize mats, you could do that. You could hold those. I do know people that do that. Cloth mats like spell grounds, you could. I mean, I'm not super well versed in that market. I don't do a lot with it mainly because it's so hard to find buyers. And it's so hard to price it out. Like, what are you going off for your prices? eBay? There's definitely space in that market. It's definitely unexplored, but there's just so many unknowns about it that I can't really make any recommendations about it.
Personally, the best like mats to get into to like make any profit on is like the event judge mats, but you're very rarely going to sell those off because they are very high sought after item, but only by a certain amount of people. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're relatively easy to access. Whereas you just find a judge after an event and go, "Do you want this mat? No, I'll give you this amount of money for it." And like the conversation earlier, we said, well, "I'm not going to use this mat. I'm probably not going to sell it at some point anyway. I'll just take the money now."
One word of caution about judge mats and regional mats in general is that first off, Konami does outsource their mat producer to a company in China, and recently we have had trouble with that company in China making more mats than they were told to make, and then selling those mats on Alibaba. So there exist these quote unquote fake mats. I mean,
Okay.
they're basically like uncommissioned mats. Maybe you have judge stuff. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, John, but like judge stuff is not easy to come by. I mean, most judges, you have to remember, just get compensated in normal sealed product anyway. The mats are quite rare. I've judged multiple regional events. I don't even own the judge shirt. I don't have the judge line. I own nothing of actual judge paraphernalia.
He doesn't have the red judge shirt.
Oh, Violet, what they do. Oh, Violet, what they do. They do care if the mat is fake or not. They really do. Let's see. Junk question. How do you buy OCG cards? How do you get prices on them? That is very subjective. Like, if me personally, because I have family in Singapore and Malaysia, I have contacts over there when I go to visit. That's where I get my stuff. What I do is I wire money over to first I don't even wire money. I have an uncle who plays the currency exchange market. So what he does is that he somehow manages to game the system such that he can exchange money for a better rate than the actual currency exchangers can do. So essentially, I go over there and I pay him in US dollars, which are very strong, because like if US dollars do buy a lot in a lot of countries because it's by far one of the strongest currencies in the world. So I go over to Singapore or Malaysia and I pay my contact in US dollars and I get way more than I could have. And they in turn take these US dollars and they multiply that over and over again. And at the same time, I get cards that I couldn't get over here. That's me personally. Developing OCG contacts is not an easy task if you're not like, this is where I'm personally in a specific position of privilege, in that I have ready access to those. Prices on OCG cards, honestly, just eBay. This is where the international market is definitely interesting because cards that are worth X amount in Japan or in Asia, but then they're worth Y amount over here. There does exist a disconnect between how much a card is worth over here and over there, partially because of the different currencies, and also partially because you have to consider that you cannot play OCG cards here. So no one wants to buy meta OCG. They only want collector OCG. At least here for the TCG. But those markets do definitely exist. Like I'm not going to back down from saying that you don't want to ignore the Japanese market. So that definitely. But yeah, like for the most part, it's really on a case-by-case basis as to how you get OCG cards. You could just go on eBay. You could just go on TCG Republic. I guess I can throw the link up in here. This is something a site that Shire was talking about. This is a decent place to get some Japanese cards. You could just go, or you could go on eBay. Yeah, that's OCG for you.
The other, like, it depends also on like your contacts. So a really simple way that we get, like me and my friends get OCG products is my friend's sister is a flight attendant, and whenever she goes to an OCG country, we just say, well, when you're on your weekend leave, can you just pop into a shop and like we obviously pay her. She doesn't care. She'll buy like 3 boxes of like OCG product just because why not? It's like extra free money for her, and then we get like boxes of OCG delivered every couple of months, and depending on what we buy, we might get some sleeves, we might get some like mats or stuff.
Now, something that I do personally is I don't actually get shipped. I don't get it shipped to me. I actually wait until I visit them and then I pick it up myself. I don't want to pay international shipping, so I have to be very careful with what I buy OCG because I obviously don't want to buy things that are very wild in price, which is why one of my favorite things to buy is to buy OCG Ghost and Ultimate Rares and high rarity collector cards. JS, you got anything?
Nothing in specific. I'm just wondering, like, what are some of the best deals or things you've worked out, or some of the craziest purchases, from buying collections, or how did you just have a crazy sale where you're like, wow, I can't believe this just happened to me?
Okay, this is me being an asshole. Sometimes being a vendor does involve being an asshole. Here's a story from a regional. So obviously you have to fill out your deck list. Now some people are dumb enough where they fill out a deck list without owning all the actual cards. They assume that they just turn in the deck list and then they can go and get the cards after signups. The problem is once you turn in that deck list, you cannot change it. Even if the event hasn't started yet, you can't. You have one submission per deck list, and if you don't have those cards, you're DQ'd. I'll definitely cover Violet's question after I finish the story, if that's okay. So This guy, I think, what was he playing? I think he was playing Unchained. Was playing pure Unchained for a regional, and he needed Unchained Soul of Rage, the Link 2. At the time, I think they were $8. And he comes to me, and I can tell because I saw him around the room, like when I was doing my own thing, asking all these different people if they had Unchained Soul of Rage, and nobody did because who the hell carried that around? Nobody. So he finally comes to me, and I happen to have it in my binder. And even though it's on TCG Player for $8, he said, "Hey, okay, I really need Unchained Soul of Rage. How much?" I said 20. And he said, "What? That's crazy! Are you kidding me? There's only $8 on TCG Player." I said, "Okay, order it now. Let's hope it gets here in the next 15 minutes and 21 seconds." Yeah, sometimes you got to do that.
That's on him though.
Right, it really is on him. But there you go. That's sometimes you make those moves like that. Like just because all your screen says something doesn't mean that's what you actually get for it. One of those situations where that worked out in my favor. People are lazy though. I mean, what is he gonna do? Like go chase after the TCG Player vendor? It's like ship it now. Let's see. Is it good to invest with other vendors like a team? It can be. It really depends. One of the things that I do recommend, because I do know people, you definitely want to detach as many emotions as you can, because obviously if you are finding other vendors to invest in together, most likely they are your close friends, and you do not want to kill your friendship over this. This is not worth losing a good friendship over.
That's true.
So
yeah,
you definitely. So if you're going to invest with other vendors with it as a team, first off you're going to be doing sealed product most of the time, or if you're really good at it, really vending as a team is something you do when no individual person has enough money to start. Right. Yeah. If you need to raise capital, that's definitely that's a way to do it. It can be a good way to do it because then it's essentially you being in the same place being in multiple places at the same time. But you have to be very careful. Do tread carefully.
You've also got to put it this way: like you're splitting the entry cost, but you're also splitting the end profit as such.
Also, very true. Trying to figure out which way to cut the pie is always the eternal question. Let's see. Junk had a question. What do you think about buying collections of one type of card, like Karibo or DMG? Depending on the card you pick, maybe. I mean, I know people who buy like tons and tons of Blue Eyes White Dragons or Dark Magicians. I mean, it's cool. It's something you can do. I'm not entirely sure if you can make money doing that though, because most of the time collectors just buy things as soon as they come on the market. They don't generally wait unless you're talking about big vintage, but I mean, I presume you're not talking about big vintage. It really depends. Like you have to remember that Yu-Gi-Oh is a very subjective, very speculative market. So a lot of things are going to depend on a lot of different factors, and there's just no way that even a big vendor could have all the answers. But buying collections of one type of card, like maybe if you bought it card by card and accrued it over time, and then you could say something like, I have one of every different printing of Blue Eyes ever made. I mean, maybe you could find someone who'd be into that. What are people hyping up cards that get new rarity? Like that solemn guy that swears Matt Gold was going to go up. Well, first off, he doesn't swear. Solemn Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't guarantee that it's going to go up. He actually made a whole video about that. I mean, it's hyping up cards that get a new rarity. YouTubers are going to hype. That's literally in their job description. They have to be entertaining, and hype is just one of the ways you do that. So do keep that in mind. But do definitely clear the record. Solemn Yu-Gi-Oh is not saying like, oh, it's totally gonna go up. It totally will. Like I'll even post a video of it if he wants to. Let's see. If I can find it real fast. Yeah, there's Solemn Yu-Gi-Oh's take on Maximum Gold Blue Eyes. I mean, again, like we did cover. We covered what Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube people do. They kind of have to hype things. It's in their job description that got to keep those subs in. Got to grow the channel. Really, yeah. Ad revenue.
So
at least he didn't pull a Cali effect. At least he didn't pull a Cali effect with the it's gonna go up. Buy it before it goes higher. Buy. Great investment. Rip people who buy it in the hype without question. No, those guys don't deserve to rest in peace. They're just being stupid. It's like, think for yourself. That's the thing. Like market watch data is actually quite limited in how useful it is. It's generally the best people, the people who stand to make the most off of market watch videos are the people who own vast collections of cards, and therefore when something gets bought out, they go and dig through their bulk and hope and pray they find the extra copies they had laying around. But because remember, like by the time a buyout has happened, by the time they've covered a buyout, it's already happened. The dust has settled. So that's why market watch is very limited in what data, and a lot of predictions they make are wrong. That's the short end of it.
What do you do when you just can't come to an agreement with buying whether it's a card or a collection? Like, do you usually just forget it and move on right away, or have there been times where you're like persistent?
Your time is money. Your time is money. I've said no. But this is the greatest skill to have is being able to say no. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's just life in general. Like don't keep wasting your time if a deal is just not going to go through. If the other person's being difficult, and if all you're doing is just if all you're just getting more and more irritated, just walk away. There will always be another person to buy from. Another person to buy, another person to sell, another person to trade, what have you. We could get into trading. That is definitely something I was thinking about covering. But to answer your question, always be ready to say no, and just walk away, cut your losses. For trading, I don't like it. Trading is honestly one of the most losing propositions. It's literally because of the economic theory of the coincidence of want. Not only do you have to find someone who has what they're looking for, but you have to find someone who also wants what you have. And then you get into the whole nitty gritty of it. Everyone's got to have TCG Player out for their phone. Everyone's got to use troll. Do we use troll and toad prices, or do we use card market? What do we? And then they have to round the values. And people say, "Oh, can you throw this in? Can you throw that in? What do you value this at? Oh, what's the There's just so many. There's so many different things that just make trading such a hassle that I don't bother with it anymore. And at the end of the day, trading is you are spending extra time and extra effort to pay 105% on your cards. Cash there's a reason why we invented cash, and cash was designed to make our transactions easier. So take full advantage of that. So when I deal, and again, I do play meta, so I do buy cards for myself. If I were not a vendor, all I wanted to do was be able to play competitively and not have to be constantly digging into my savings or my checking. I would sell at between 85 to 90%, and I would buy between 80 and 85%. And from there, essentially, I am playing. I have the cards I want. It cost me way less time and effort. And if I'm lucky, I get to walk away with an extra 2 to 5% in cash that I get to do whatever I want with. That's the long and short of trading, and why I don't do it anymore. Have I ever take advantage of someone who clearly didn't know the card prices? Yes, you have to. Being a vendor sometimes means being a bad guy. Don't be an absolute jerk about it. Yeah, there's some lines in the sand, like I don't rip off 5-year-olds, but at the same time, if someone doesn't know their prices, they don't know their prices, and that means it's an opportunity. I mean, we're trying to make money here. We're not trying to be we're not trying to be the Christian good boy, right?
I think this is a pretty cool thing to do. I think it was a success, especially like for the first time. Sorry, I didn't say much. I wasn't sure. I thought this would be more of a lecture type discussion. But if we do this in the future, I would definitely like to have some more questions and topics ready so I could, say some more things. But, I think it's been awesome. And at least we're getting comments too in general. If not everyone wants to talk, I get that. So I think this is awesome. I like learning all about the market and buying and selling and stuff, and it's always changing and new stuff's coming out, so the discussion can change over time too.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, we don't even have to talk about the market. I mean, we could talk about the meta at some point, depending, but maybe make this I'm hoping ideally that maybe this would be like a monthly thing if we were to just hold a call and just do this kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know. Do you guys know who Dan is?
From
Nope.
organization?
Yes, I have been in voice calls with Dan, the owner of YG Organization, the owner of Wikipedia, and he's also a freelance. He also has done freelance work with Konami. Voice calls with him are quite possibly one of the greatest discussions of all time. There are that is the kind of guy that you could just keep on going for hours on, and I have done, and I have been in 2 hour calls with him, in 2 or 3 hour calls, because he just has that much knowledge. Knowledge about the market, knowledge about the game, knowledge about the meta, knowledge about the game's history, and he has a lot of insight to give. So if I could get him on,
Here's,
that would be amazing.
here's a
I
question that I just have. It's not really about like trading or anything, but it's more like a UK and US thing. Do you guys have like? This is gonna sound really weird, but do you guys have a message chat or a group chat where you can talk to like the people who run? I don't know how to say it, like US Konami.
I
Because
wish.
in the UK, we have a messenger chat where we've created where we have like some of the top vendors, the top players, and the Konami official like spokespeople all in one group chat, which I'm in as well. And we just sort of just talk. They have their official and non-official accounts, so they can say things like off the record technically as well. But do you guys have anything like that?
Unfortunately, no. That is honestly awesome that you guys have that, but
Yeah.
Konami USA is not exactly well known for its history of being transparent with the player base. So
True.
there you go. We don't have.
It it,
So no,
it,
it is honestly amazing
it kind
to
of came
you guys have
about
that, but we don't
when
have that.
it kind of came about when Brexit was being brewed, and they were like, basically, we're going to need to talk to like the shop owners, the vendors, the high stakes people directly because they're going to have so many questions. Email chains aren't going to roll it, and it just sort of grew from that into we have a question like, when is this product going to come out? And they'll be like, oh, it's going to come out this, or just something as simple as that, or we talk about like the meta and like how they think the game's going to shape up. It's quite an interesting dynamic, to be honest.
I guess you can feel the time to field a few more questions. Let's see. How do you know what penny stocks to invest in? Depends. Again, like me. Okay, this is something I personally did because I used to do this a lot. I used to collect a lot of dragons, and I still do from time to time. But for my goal originally was to there used to be a part in my Yu-Gi-Oh life where I wanted to have one copy of at least one copy of every dragon ever printed, and at this point, I basically have that, minus some prize cards, but whatever. Um, Me personally, how I got started in quote unquote penny stocks is that I just owned so many extra copies of dragons that eventually some of them went up and I started selling extras. That's kind of like, and very slowly I started selling extra cards. That's kind of how I got into vending. But for penny stocks, you really have, for this one, you really have to be willing to just look at TCG Player constantly and just like be constantly pouring over mountains of data from TCG Player. Entirely plausible. Generic cards apply to this too. Sure. Again, it's the same thing. It's like, are you willing to put in that much time? Because that's the thing about penny stocks. That like, there's a reason why there's a low cost to buy in, and that's because there's so much time you had to invest. Time is definitely a resource. So, yeah, for penny stocks, you really just have to. It's just like the stock market. You really have to be able to be willing to look over all that data, all the numbers, all the figures, and make decisions from there. That's the long and short of it. 15 playing full meta. How did that point so young?
Were you here for the feedback we had a minute ago? Sorry, Rex.
I was not. I had to take care of something real fast.
Oh, it's okay. While you're doing that, I asked for some like generic feedback from everyone, and everyone agreed that it was all fine. It went happy. Nothing like to really improve on. Just maybe as we might have more ideas, I feel like we can improve this. Definitely more information than even I was expecting, to be honest. I didn't really know what I was going to be coming into here, but you're definitely very knowledgeable, so I'll give you some points for that.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone's gained something from this, and if you have any more ideas for next time, I'm sure we could do this again.
Yeah, we should do like pick a monthly topic or take a poll or something.
Mm-hmm. Like a Bishire podcast. There we go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
Cool.
Let's see. I guess we could take I gotta get off in like 5 minutes or so, but we could take a few more questions until then. When do you have to sell it? John asked, when do you have to sell at a loss? First off, you never have to sell at a loss. You never do. Sometimes it's better just hold. If a card is not going, or a certain asset is not going the way you thought it was going to go, you haven't lost money until you sold it, nor have you gained money until you sold it. So just because a card, you bought a card for $2 and now it's suddenly $20, you didn't make $18, not until you sold the card. Same with losing a card. If you bought a card for $20 and now it's $5, you didn't lose $15 until you sell that card for $5. So if you don't want to lose, you could just hold the card and hope and pray and hope it goes up. But if you seriously think that the card will not go up, that will not recover, if you seriously think that it's a lost cause, then just go ahead and sell as fast as you can, and take that experience and move forward. Not everything is going to be a winner. I can totally attest to that. That not every move you make is going to be a winner. I've definitely lost money. You try to avoid it as much as you can, but you're never going to completely avoid it 100%. So it's really just a judgment call. And at the end of the day, hopefully whatever you spend or whatever you lose is outweighed by however much you make. We say that actually hold value or even increase value, but who actually buys the cores? Rich meta players, they definitely exist. You would be surprised at how many very, very rich meta players with a lot of money, a lot of disposable income can do. You would be surprised.
Everyone wants a pet deck, and the rich people want a pet high rarity deck. So if you look at the examples we used earlier was Spellbooks and Mermail, like those two decks have retained their value because they're nostalgic, they're relatively good, but still fair, if you know what I mean, and they're probably never going to get hit ever again, so they're a relatively safe investment.
Yeah, this is awesome. Sorry I didn't say much, but next time I'll be more prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, like you said, you did kind of expect a whole PhD, a PhD dissertation, but I didn't want that because I know full well that quite a few of the people in the server are in school, and I know they didn't take time out of their day just to listen to another guy lecture at them.
True. I think this was awesome, though. I'm glad we could get some, knowledge and discussion.
Y'all are crazy. You like lectures? Oh my god! I used to fall asleep through all sorts of lectures. I still fall asleep through lectures.
I'm usually the one giving the lectures.
Easy to learn, just
you're
like
a teacher.
virtual world.
Yep. Sorry though, I'm a cool teacher. I teach cool subjects.
Yeah.
Right, boy, guys.
All right, see, I mean, if you guys, okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's have a poll. Like, one, if you kind of want if you want these to be more user driven, like they were, like we were trying to pull off this time, or two, if you want it like an actual like dedicated lecture. Because if you guys want a dedicated lecture, I will prepare things.
Oh man.
7. Wow, very helpful. Just joined. Yeah, just memeing. Like, because if you guys want like a very detailed, very in-depth analysis with a lot of different with basically like an info dump, I can prepare a statement. Or not prepare a statement. Was this a court? Like prepare notes. I can prepare notes. It's not. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to do that. I just didn't want to just jump in and just start spitting words and lose all interest.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I'd be okay with either way. If we can get, some active people, that'd be great. Otherwise, maybe a lecture might be the way to go. But,
yeah, maybe.
But hopefully these, continue to do well and more people can participate.
Yeah. I guess the main reason why I didn't want a lecture is because if I wanted to do a lecture style, I would have just recorded a video and posted it.
Right.
That's probably the big one. I talk with food. Come on, just you can't walk and chew gum. All right, let's see. Hopefully, we can get a few more votes. I don't know, Junk. Can you pick something? Can you make it? 2? Ooh, boy, y'all make me work. JS, what do you think?
Here,
Okay, all right. Get a little dissenting opinion. Always nice to see. Who else have I asked? Let's see. Shire, what do you want? If you had to pick, one thing I'll definitely say is that people not prepared with questions usually. That is true. Can we get a
What?
Voice remote. Just watch her videos, dude.
It's called YouTube.
I know. Just watch her videos.